In my line of work, I get asked very often about filtered, reverse osmosis, or distilled water versus tap water in your hydroponic garden. So I wanted to make this video to answer a lot of questions I've got about why would you want to use filtered water? What's wrong with tap water? And what do I need to do to my filtered water to make it ready for my hydroponic garden? So I want to answer these questions for you in this video. And if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments down below. Although this video is not part of the nutrient series, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that the nutrient series that I just finished last week would help you out greatly. So make sure you check out this playlist for more videos, and there are also guides to go along with these videos that are totally free over at hummelgrovehydroponics.com. Obviously, it's better to start from a clean slate. So let's talk about the things that are in tap water that could potentially harm your plants, just so that you understand if you do decide to go with the tap water route, what you might want to look out for. So what I've noticed, especially in America, is the closer that we get to urban environments, or the more interference that humans have with the water supply, the more potential for problems in your hydroponic garden. One of the biggest problems is with fluoride. In a lot of United States cities, the government decided to add fluoride to the drinking water, and this builds up rather quickly in the cellular structures of the plant, and this can block nutrient uptake. Another problematic to drinking water is calcium and magnesium. We definitely want these in our hydroponic gardens, as many plants need an abundance of both of these to thrive. However, not knowing exactly how much of both that we have when we start off with can cause a lot of issues down the road. As I mentioned in this video about calcium and magnesium, it's really easy to accidentally go over into calcium toxicity, as well as start off with calcium deficiencies. So making sure we know how much calcium and magnesium is in our garden when we start off is really important to maintaining that proper balance of nutrients all the way through. There can also be other heavy metals that are in drinking water depending on where you are, and these heavy metals can be quite toxic to your plants. And some can even be toxic to humans, but for some reason we say it's still safe to drink. I don't know, America's weird. Harder water creates salt buildups very quickly. These salt buildups can build up a lot like the fluoride does in the cellular structures of your plant, blocking nutrient uptake and just the inner working of the plant. So those are some really good reasons to not use drinking water. Now, what do we do with our filtered water, and which filtered water should we use? Reverse osmosis, distilled water? Should we just filter it with a water filter? Is that okay? So really this comes down to a matter of budget. If we're filling a tower garden which has a 20-gallon nutrient reservoir, a lot of times reverse osmosis is just going to be the most cost-effective way to do that. Generally, you can fill up 5-gallon jugs of reverse osmosis water for fairly inexpensively. You can't fill up 5-gallon jugs of distilled water. Distilled water has to go through a process, and then they put it into the jugs and you have to buy it off of a shelf. So because of this, reverse osmosis might actually come out on top as the easiest and the best to use overall for your garden. I can't recommend somebody goes out and buys 20 gallons of distilled water just to fill a single tower garden. 20 gallons of reverse osmosis water is certainly not an unreasonable thing to ask of anybody. In fact, here I'm on a rainwater catch. We don't drink any of the rainwater, but I do have 5-gallon jugs that I go and fill with reverse osmosis water. So I'm very familiar with the process of filling 5-gallon jugs, and I do the same for my hydroponic gardens. So although distilled water will strip your EC back to zero and give you an absolutely blank slate, it can be a bit unreasonable to buy that much distilled water, and the fact that you can't refill the distilled water jugs with more distilled water, and that adds to a bit of an issue of sustainability for me and wastefulness. So I guess it kind of all comes down to my opinion, and in my opinion, I think reverse osmosis, filling 5-gallon jugs with reverse osmosis water is the best way to start your garden. Okay, now what do we need to take into account when we start our garden with zero EC or a very, very low EC? Well, the first thing we need to take care of is our calcium and magnesium. Once again, check out this video all on calcium and magnesium, when to add it, and everything you need to know. When it comes to adding it to completely stripped water, I usually add about half a dosage to 3/4 of a dosage, depending on what I'm growing. If I'm growing tomatoes or something that's going to require a lot more calcium and magnesium, then I'll start off with a 3/4 dose. If I'm just doing my regular plants, if I'm just doing kind of like a general purpose garden, then I'll just do a half dose of the calcium and magnesium, because your nutrient solution, your 3-part nutrient solution I hope you're using, also contains calcium and magnesium. So you don't want to do too much because calcium toxicity creates a nitrogen lockout, creates a whole set of issues, and we really don't want to see that happen in your garden. So the first thing you're going to need to do is add your calcium and magnesium, and then we're going to get set up for whatever stage of growth we're in. If you're doing vegetative growth, then you're going to add your vegetative nutrients, measure it up with your EC meter, and then once you get your nutrients set, we'll go in and set our pH. Because we started off with little to no EC in the water, it's going to be much easier for us to manage the EC throughout the grow. If you start off with tap water and there are elements in the water that we're not familiar with, we don't really know when it's in our water, it can pull it in one direction or other and really pull the pH out of balance and cause nutrient lockout really easily. So by knowing what's in the water and putting it in the water ourselves and making sure that we're keeping a log and a journal of our garden to ensure that we're adding the proper nutrients, measuring them with our EC meter and topping them off appropriately, while assuring that the pH is allowing the nutrients to be taken in by the plant, we're quickly becoming formidable hydro gardeners. So congratulations on taking another step to being a master hydro gardener. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful. Don't forget to check out Humble Growth Hydroponics for all those free guides, and let's grow together.